Welcome back to Your Average Witch, where every month we talk about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft. This month I'm talking with Laura, a witch from Tucson. We talk about identities, accepting men in witchy communities, and not getting married before your Saturn return. Also, if you have a second, please let Laura know in comments why they should come to Anahata's Purpose this year. Now let's get to the stories. Laura, hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kim. Happy to be here.
Yay, I'm happy to have you here. Can you please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do and where they can find you?
Absolutely. So my name is Laura Rosar. You can find me on Instagram at LauraRosar14. I specifically hate all other social media platforms, so it's really just that one to find me. I've been leading rituals for a local group the last few months, which has been fucking wonderful. And I do a lot of poetry, so you'll see that there too.
I'm afraid to do that. The ritual part. Not looking at your foot.
I was like, all right, which one are we talking about? I used to be afraid, but so I moved out to Tucson a couple years ago from Atlanta, Georgia. And back in Georgia, I led rituals for about a year for a small group of friends. And it was so edifying. It was so beautiful to see kind of how they moved through their own bodies, how they were able to uplift each other. And when I got out here to Tucson, I just looked around and there's so many spiritual humans out here and witches and pagans of all types, but there are very few community ritual spaces. And a lot of the spiritualists out here too, there are paywalls for certain things because we have a lot of professionals here, which is amazing, but also makes them inaccessible for a lot of people. So I got together with my friend Lydia at Celestia Collective, and I said, hey, I want to start leading rituals. We didn't know each other before we had this conversation, but we just aligned on so many levels, and it's been incredible to see the community grow over just a few months.
Yeah, I haven't been in because I have this weird thing about parking. And also leaving my house, and that's across town from me. So I have not been there, but I am enjoying watching it from a distance.
Oh, I'm so glad. That makes me happy. I'm so glad we've been able to live stream.
Oh, I didn't even know that happened.
Yes. Yeah, we've started live streaming them. She puts a little mic on me. So, which is also nice because everyone is still like protected in privacy because I'm the only one whose voice is usually getting picked up. But it lets people kind of come into the space without having to be there, whether they have accessibility issues or just can't make it. And we're also posting the full ritual afterwards. So if you want to just see on Celestia Collective's Instagram me being a little pyro, or as I help people burn things in ritual or melt ice, as we did last time, that's there too.
Because you know why? Fuck ice. That's why.
Fuck ice. Absolutely.
Yay, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I will check that out.
Wonderful.
Yay. Thank you for telling me and for making it happen.
A few months ago, I kind of just sat down with myself and I got really honest about the amount of experience that I have and the knowledge that I do have, because for so long, I had a lot of imposter syndrome as a pagan. I grew up super Christian conservative. Someone had to be like, this is how you even learn about paganism. Go to this bookstore and pick things out. And for years, I kind of just had this feeling that I didn't really know enough. And I got to last year and I was like, you know what? I know a solid amount and I have experience. And as someone who is genderqueer, I use she, they, and I kind of swing back and forth in my presentation. I was really interested to see how much more I could open up ritual community to everybody. because a lot of witch spaces can be pretty femme witchy,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are exclusionary towards men, or trans people have a really hard time engaging in them because of this hyperfeminism that can come into it. And I was like, well, if I do it, especially starting it while in a more mask presentation, how many more people are going to feel safe in this space? And that's been, I think, my favorite thing about leading rituals here is how many beautiful transhumans I have in there. And then we have a cis guy who has been like treated so horribly in other spaces.
Mm.
And he's pan and he paints his nails so his students at work feel safe around him. But he's been excluded in these other places. So it's been really, really, I'm so grateful to be able to create a space where everyone in it is including everyone.
That makes me happy. Yay, Tucson.
Yeah, I love Tucson.
So you call yourself a witch, right? That's like an identity that you use for yourself.
I do. It's actually been something really recent for me to fully embody. For a long time, I have strong feelings about Wicca. And a lot of people associate witch with Wiccans,
Mm-hmm.
which I am not. And for me personally, it took me a long time to be able to call myself a witch because of stereotypes. But in the last year, I've been able to really embody it. And I'm like, no, I am a witch. People meet me and they're like, that's a witch. And I do ritual and I incorporate so many things into my daily life and synchronicities and magic. And I work with my deities religiously, and like, I'm a witch.
What does that mean when you say I'm a witch? What are you saying to other people or yourself?
I think for me, it's something very innate. So you get practices like Wicca, for example, not to just Wicca hate today, but here we are. That it's very XYZ. Like do this, this, and this, use this, this, and this item, and you'll get this result. And to me, the truest thing about being a witch in my body is that it is innate. Like I personally feel the interconnectedness of all things. Like I'm a bit of an animist. Like I believe in energy connecting us all. I believe that there are signatures to different things. I believe that I can know something about a friend or lover across space and time and connect to that. Like for me, being a witch is first and foremost becoming more of myself. And secondary to that is ritual and working with other witches and the intersectionalism of feminism and how that all integrates. Being a witch is an identity deeply for me.
It's funny that that's coming up in this episode because my last episode with Leah, we also talked a lot about the identity and how you can apply it to yourself and how witch falls into all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that that's coming up a lot now.
I love that.
Can you share or will you share how you practice, like the sorts of things that you do?
Yeah. So for me, it looks different every season and every day. I'm someone who I have a lot of mental health difficulties that I'm unpacking now in a way I never had before. Was extremely compartmentalized and anxious for a very long time. And I realized how much of that was actually a deep depression. And I was covering it up by charging through with how high functioning I'm capable of being. And that to say, that makes my practice look very different day to day. Like some days I don't have the energy to pull cards, to do much with my altars, to right the next ritual that I'm leading, whatever it may be. So like my practice daily, I was thinking, I'm getting a little rambly right now, but one thing I was thinking about leading into this is the extremely nerdy root of one thing that I do in my practice every day. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, this cuts back to new series season 1, The Ninth Doctor. And there's this episode where he and Rose are on this intergalactic convention, and he's given each sort of representative of different peoples across the universe a gift. And he comes up to this woman who is a tree, essentially, like her people are a tree, and he breathes on her. And she takes it in and she's like, how intimate. And I have taken that to my practice with my altars. Some days I don't have the energy for gifting honey or tea or lighting the candles and like engaging in that way, but I will breathe onto my altars.
That's so good.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I love it because I just realized I'm like, this is part of my body. This is part of my expression. And so much of witchcraft too is learning to use your voice, right? So it's a deep part of me, and it doesn't need to be something that's costly every day. So that's, the smallest thing I do is just breathe on my altars. Other days it is like I work with primarily Astarte has been in my life for decades. She helped pull me from Christianity and give me guidance and protection. She's a Phoenician deity. If you don't know, she's Ashtoreth in the Bible. So lots of slang, whorish terms. Ashtoreth itself is actually a slang name. So to me, she is Astarte, but she introduced herself to me as Ashtara. And it was such a beautiful moment because I typed in Ashtara when I heard this name. I was scouting in my car in locations back in the film industry, and I heard this name, and I typed it in, and immediately it took me to Astarte. So it took me immediately to her, but she gave me a name that was a blend between the biblical Ashtoreth and her truer name Astarte, and it was so meaningful to me as a moment of her being like, I know where you're coming from. At the time I was agnostic, just beginning to learn what the fuck paganism is. But it was a moment of like, I know where you're coming from. I know you haven't been able to recognize me yet. I'm giving you a name as a bridge. So she's a goddess who's meant so much to me. And then Brigid, as someone who is like a third Irish, a third Scottish, I've been working with her a lot also as a goddess of poetry. I've been doing poetry slams and open mics, and she's been really fueling that voice and teaching me how to claim my voice. And then I am just beginning to work with Hecate. I had a wall up to her for a long time because of the chaos that comes with left-hand path. And I had to be ready to really look at my depression and my mental health to go down that road. And I'm here now and I'm excited. I have a friend that we're about to start kind of going on this journey together over the next year. But all of that to say, so for Astarte, when I walk through the world, and let's call it what it is, I'm hot to a lot of people. Like there's a large number of people who react to me in that way, is the way I like to say it, because it's all so subjective. But that being said, there are a lot of different spaces where I raise sexual energy, and to me, that is channeling to Astarte. And the way that her priestesses would raise that energy and fuel. So that is a piece of it. And then sex is so sacred to me because of that. So when I'm with a partner, that is also part of my practice with Astarte. She is a goddess of love and of war. So also when we're hitting these protests and we're fighting in other fucking ways, she comes through. And then with Brigid, it is poetry, it's speech. It's, I give her both of those deities. Actually, my favorite gift to them is honey, because with Astarte, her people were essentially genocided in Canaan and across other spaces when you look at the Old Testament, and to get the Christians to the land of milk and honey. So when I think Astarte, one of the things I find sacred to her is honey. And with Brigid, she is said to have brought bees from her apple orchard in another plane. And honey is sacred to her. So I love using like local raw honey. And it's something that like, it's cost effective. It's not buying alcohol all the time or these other things, but it's meaningful to them. And I find that so much more important. So to her, I gift honey when I'm doing work with her. And Hecate, we're still learning each other. So we'll see where that goes. But one thing I wanted to share. The other day, so my altars are lined up next to each other on a bookshelf. And the other day, I burned incense in the room. And once it was burned, I scattered some of the ash on each of their altars. And I got so excited because it can be a lot to like light incense on every altar, to light something for every deity. And I realized, I can burn this incense. I can commune with my deities, and I can scatter from the same across the altars. So again, when we're talking about accessibility in ritual, this is another way to give energy, to give deference without having to build all the energy up to do a million different rituals. So my practice is very integrated. It takes me between rituals. It takes me to leading ritual in groups, which is wonderful. I love it. And then it's also just how I move through my day, the things that are innate to me, the things that are happening anyway. And I'm able to redirect and channel them sort of to my deities, to these goddesses, and work with them in common goals.
I'm so glad you responded when I freaking posted that I wanted somebody to come on the show.
I saw it and I was like, I'm supposed to do that.
Yay!
Hell yeah.
Because this is so good.
Thank you. I love seeing your face. You just look
I have no control over that.
It's beautiful how
in
happy and it's distinctly a kid with their hand in the cookie jar, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I got marked off on my professionalism points because I can't control it.
Fuck professionalism.
Yeah, that's why I don't do that job anymore.
Beautiful.
Part of it. Will you share the best advice you've ever gotten and tell us what the situation was when you got it?
This is honestly the question that I was like, what do I even begin with? I've had so many life changes. I have 2 divorces from men under my belt before I realized I was a lesbian. I've moved. Best. You know what's funny is what comes to mind. So I have an aunt on my dad's side, Aunt Donna, and she's someone I haven't even spoken to in years. I was never very close to, but she was a very gregarious personality. When she was awake, everyone in the house could hear it if she visited. But when I was getting married the first time, I was getting married at 20. I'd lost my mom the year before, was dating the first guy I'd ever been allowed to date because super conservative. And so I fucking married him because what else?
That's what you do.
Yeah. Exactly. And we got married. And when we were building up to it, this aunt was in town for a time and she said, "You shouldn't be getting married yet. You're too young." And I wish that I had been close to her so that we could have had a conversation where she could have shared that with me, because so I was married to this man for a grand total of 8 months before separating and getting a divorce because he was fucking awful. It got so bad the second we got married, but that's another story. But the point is, she specifically said, like, you should be much older before you're getting married. And that's what I tell so many people now. Like, don't get married before your first Saturn return. You will change completely as a human after
Holy
your
shit.
fucking Saturn return. Do not get married before that time. Like, I'm 32 now, for context. My second marriage, he was a much better man. And we were poly, and I was bi for a while, and we did all of these different things, and he allowed me to explore myself with a lot of stability in my 20s. So I appreciate the hell out of him. But that said, I got married to him at 26. And if I hadn't gotten married before 30, I would have never gotten married. And I would probably have learned a lot of things about myself a lot sooner. And, I don't regret my path because I'm so grateful for where I am now. And I have so much experience that informs me when, like, helping others. But yeah, like, the best advice I could give to anyone is just don't get married before your first fucking Saturn return. You will change dramatically as a human. And while some of us are like, we keep changing no matter what, but like, you're gonna keep changing through your 20s. Just
Your brain's
wait.
not even developed yet.
It's not fucking developed. It's trying so hard just to survive. Don't do that to it.
The Saturn return thing. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my second
I've heard
divorce
till
right
your
at the end
brain
of it.
develops, but the Saturn return thing. Damn.
It's better, isn't it?
I mean, like you, I wouldn't change what I did, but also, don't change your name, folks.
Oh my God, don't change your
Don't take
fucking
someone else's
name. Look at my unique, interesting last name, Rosar. The first time I got married, I changed it to Walters. For what? Because he pitched a fit. And so I changed it even though I didn't want to. And as soon as I divorced him and I took my name back, I was like, never again. And I didn't the second time. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Non-negotiable. I keep my name.
Well, at this point in history, I wish I hadn't.
Annoying. Yeah, do we want to talk about
the one that I want?
Voting legislation and how they're trying to make it way fucking harder for AFAB people to vote?
I'm on my third marriage, so yeah. I have to go find all that fucking paperwork now because of this bullshit. Eat 1,200 dicks.
1,200 exactly. That is the amount of dicks that you are due to eat for this crime.
Stop trying to take my shit away from me, you stupid asshole.
I have a poem that's essentially just an angry spell against DT. And I'm going to be performing in a fire spinning and poetry show on April 4th. And I am so fucking excited.
I'm going to be in Austin that day.
God damn it. Well, it's going to be great. Hopefully I'll get some recordings. But one of the poems that I'm doing is that poem.
Sweet.
And I'm really excited to perform it with all of that energy.
I will be at a witch event, so my brain is going to be really full, but hopefully I remember to shoot you some energy for that.
I appreciate you a lot. What witch event are you going to?
Austin Witch Fest.
Beautiful. I've always heard Austin is like the one redeeming quality of Texas.
Me too. Well, my friends in Texas, for me, are the redeeming part, but I'm excited to go to Austin.
I drove through Texas when moving from Georgia.
What was that week like?
I managed it in a little over a day. I was ridiculous. I drove like a 14-hour day and then a 12-hour and then a 7 to get out here. But West Texas is gorgeous to drive through. East Texas is bland as shit. West Texas is gorgeous.
It was just too much Texas. I also made that drive a couple times.
It is, at the end of the day, though, just too much fucking Texas.
Oh, look, we're still in Texas.
Oh, is this more Texas? Fascinating.
Okay, is brown. We're still in Texas.
Another pickup truck with shitty bumper stickers that make me concerned for my safety.
And a raggedy flag.
A raggedy ass flag.
My Texas people, you know I love you, but
Texas was so big I started making up like random fucking songs I was singing to myself. Getting real deep into a southern accent. It was a whole thing.
It is. It is. What is the biggest struggle you have in your practice? I don't believe in segues.
Fuck a segue. Fuck. Now all I can think about is a Weird Al. They see me rolling, they hating, because they're so white and nerdy. Anyways, that's what I think of every time segues come up. Difficulties in my practice. So I will reference mental health again. There are days where it's like, oh, there's this we just had a lunar eclipse blood moon. And I wanted to be that witch that did a lot for it. And I was like, I don't have it tonight. I don't have capacity. So I pulled some tarot cards of things I wanted to release. I put them on my altar, and that's what I did for it. So I would say probably first and foremost, it's depression and anxiety, but with a close second being the right way to do things. Again, coming from a really conservative Christian background, I got really close to cult level with the last church I was a part of. It was a non-denominational church in Georgia. It was very like, we want Jesus to come back, end times, speaking in tongues. It's actually where I learned how to channel the energy of a room that I now use to lead ritual, because I would dance during worship, and literally was so effective at bringing people in with that the leaders would find me if I wasn't dancing and worship was like not going great that night. They'd be like, will you dance? And I'd go up there, and 5 minutes later, everyone's engaged. So now I'm like, and now I use that to lead pagan rituals. But that said,
we can subvert things.
Right? I also like to take credit for that church imploding, because like probably 7 or 8 months before it had to disband because it was chaos, they really pissed me off. And then I was still like essentially leading worship through dance while thinking about how much they pissed me off. Which I know now.
Oh, oops.
It was magic. So I'm like, and fuck you guys. Thank you, Astarte.
That makes me happy.
It makes me happy too. And all of that to circle back, so a book that helped me so much one of the first books I read is called The Path of Paganism by John Beckett. And this is the book that I recommend to anyone coming from any kind of fundamentalist background, because it's a very easy read, it's small, and he just kind of lays out the differences between monotheistic relations and polytheistic, and working with different deities and the sovereignty inherent to working with deities, as opposed to worshiping and subjugating yourself to one deity who can read every thought, everything. The amount of OCD and anxiety I had as a child because of my mom instilling so deeply this God who knew everything. There's nowhere to run, right? So then coming to paganism, this book helped me so much to begin to rewire my brain of like, pagan deities want you in your sovereignty. Like, at least the goddesses I work with, they want me fully sovereign and empowered. And it's a relationship. It's truly a relationship instead of a subjugation. But it was really hard, and it's taken me a long fucking time to unlearn, this is the right way, this is the wrong way, this is how you should carry yourself, this is how you should speak about it, these are the things you should know. Shut the fuck up if you don't know these things. Like, no, like there is still a lot I don't know, and thank gods, because then life would be really boring. But like the most important,
could you imagine if you knew everything?
Right? Like, fucking may as well die. It's too much fucking stuff. And now I'm thinking about Doctor Who again, because when Donna had too much in her brain, he had to shut it down because it was too much for a human brain. So like, we aren't meant to know everything.
I do hate it a little bit that I don't know everything.
I mean, same. I'm a Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo.
Oh.
Yeah, so I do want to know everything. Like, that is innate to me. And it has been the work of my life to learn to appreciate flaws and to appreciate shortcomings and learn how to say what is what. Yeah, so essentially, though, the hardest thing in my practice, or the hardest things in my practice, have been learning how to not push myself when my mental health won't allow, and to be okay with not knowing, and to truly trust my intuition. Because I was raised with the heart is sinful, the flesh will misguide you, essentially everything innately your body is wrong. And being raised with that, it was very, very hard to learn to trust my intuition and to build it. And my practice has grown so, so, so much stronger just practicing trusting my own intuition and instincts. And even when other pagans feel very strongly about how you should practice, what you should and shouldn't do, because we're human and we all get caught up in the ways we work with certain deities or entities. Always circling back to what is the honest way for me to practice? What is the way that I am feeling called to practice? And continuing in humility for the moments where there are things I need to learn, especially when it comes to other cultures. Always going out of my way to research, to understand from other cultures if I'm working with different deities, or like being here in Tucson, honoring the land and the tribes who came before us and who are still here and active, and making sure that happens at the beginning of every community ritual, etc. So it's that balance constantly between intuition, knowledge, wisdom, experience.
Like, I do get really hot like literally, because I'm like sweating now because I'm irritated. The way that Christianity specifically, it might be all religions. I've only been raised as a Christian, so I don't know the other religions in this way, but the way they make you completely not trust yourself. Like you're never going to be good. You're never going to be good.
And no matter how hard they lead into or lean into Jesus and love and grace, like I personally had a mom who was so controlling and protective, and it was out of fear. And she was also loving and wanted us to be ourselves, but holy fuck did she also not want me to be myself. Yeah, I was raised with modesty culture, purity culture. You're responsible for men's thoughts and feelings. That was deeply ingrained. Everything between men and women is sexual. No wonder it took me so fucking long to realize I was a lesbian. Feelings. But yeah, like everything, there's literally no escape. I was also homeschooled. All of my activities, I was homeschooled. So everyone around me is Christian. I'm the youngest of 4. My brother is the oldest at 12 years older than me. And then I have a sister 6 years older and an AFAB non-binary sibling who's 3 years older than me. And they were both, my AFAB siblings were both on the side of like, let me just kind of repress my shit and lean into being an introvert and kind of coast. And I was like, what? That doesn't really work for me. And at the same time, I was hardcore fucking Christian. So I was the one who was louder. I was the one who got attention from boys. And my mom was constantly shutting anything remotely male-female down. I couldn't watch Disney Channel. Yeah, it was a level of control of every input for my siblings and I that like no part of my life was not touched by Christianity and Jesus, to the extent that I remember being a 6-year-old little girl in my neighborhood and I came across this other little girl and somehow I already knew and had this in my body that I asked her if she knew Jesus. And when she said she didn't, I didn't play with her at 6. So that's how deeply entrenched my Christianity was.
They make
and
this
how
so weird.
It was around everything. Everything. So it's taken literally decades to unlearn and to get it out of my body and to sort through the fucking trauma of it all.
That's exhausting.
It fucking is. I'm glad I can cuss.
That. I'm a Taurus.
Ooh, you're a Taurus? What are your other 2?
Aries, which is why I will burn your house down, and Gemini rising, which is why I have a podcast. I have 2 podcasts now.
I have the worst track record of almost everyone I've ever dated. There's Aries in their big 3, and if not Aries, it's one of the other fire signs. Like, I cannot get away from it. I am so much earth that I am so attracted to fire. And it's bad for me. Not in all cases. But Aries specifically is rough sometimes. Like, I love an Aries, but also goddamn.
For me, it's Sag.
Yeah, I got real fucked up by a Sag or 2. The last person I dated, though, their sun sign at least was water. They were a Cancer. And I feel like that's me starting to heal as a person.
Good for you.
Thank you. The Aries moon still kicked in eventually, but it's okay.
Aries moon people are a good time, I'll tell you.
They fucking are. They absolutely fucking are.
But we will burn your house down. Tell me about your favorite meal.
I love how random that is. I love food. It's such an open-ended question. Like, I'm an omnivore. I love a steak. I try not to eat it a lot though. Like, I am moving towards, I want to have more like a day or two in my week that are exclusively like vegetarian days for the environment and for just like the consciousness of it. I feel like
Yeah.
it helps the body.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I do. I love a steak and potatoes. I love salmon. I love a lot of food. I am a Taurus moon. Okay. I just fucking love food. I got saved from the eating disorders of the 20 aughts a bit because I was really fucking skinny. And if anything, I wanted more on my body. So I think that kind of fucking saved me because everyone's like, oh, you're so skinny. I want that. I'm like, no, I want muscle. I'm weak. So now that I have muscle, I try to eat balanced. You asked me about my favorite meal. I have a really hard time with favorite and best. Those words, I'm like,
okay. What is the one you most enjoy that you think, oh, that was a good time and the meal was really good?
Honestly,
I can't answer this question right now. I'll tell you that.
it's so hard to do. So I think I'll just go back to the witchiness of it all. Back in Atlanta, when I was leading ritual for my smaller group of women, we would usually do like a potluck style thing every ritual, and those were some of my favorite meals for sure, because it's just the group of us coming together, bringing food, nourishing each other together, and then also getting into the spiritual side of things and that type of nourishment. So like, I think my favorite thing with food in general is combining those things. Like I'm Southern, right? I am a Southern woman. My mom taught me, woman, but my mom taught me how to bake and how to cook. And that's, I've said many, many times, something I love is for all of the complicated feelings I have about my mom, the one thing I can always appreciate that has no complexity to it is learning to cook and bake with her, because those things serve me every day. And I love cooking for people and baking for people and sharing love through food, and through caretaking. You know, when you have a partner who can't cook because they're depressed, like, again, I'm very high functioning, so I can usually manage it. But being able to take care of them through food, I think, is just beautiful. So really any meal that comes down to, I got to like prepare this for you, or we prepared it together and we spent time connecting with each other, that's going to be my favorite meal.
Do you have a favorite restaurant here in Tucson? Or does it depend, like, where is your favorite X, Y, and Z? Is it that sort of situation?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. So
Me too.
let's see. Let's do. There's actually so many good places to eat here. Ooh, I just went to a place called the Cuban Corner for the first time. It's very new. Really fucking good. There's a Cuban place back in Atlanta I used to go to. And I loved it. So that place is really good. Sometimes I'm a basic bitch and I just go to the Cheesecake Factory. Because honestly, it's comfort food at this point. But like, there's so many good little places to eat. Like you can, like, Juanito's has really good bean and cheese burritos. There's a couple of actually good sushi places. I can't think of the name of them. You don't want to mostly get sushi in Tucson. We're in the desert, but but there are a couple of really good ones. And then I'm trying to think of specifically local. Oh, there's this Peruvian place that was really good. I had never had Peruvian, and my friend took me there. It was called Villa Peru. That's fucking good food.
Cool. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, they had this juice to this drink. It was NA, and it was this deep purple color, and I don't remember what all is in it, but it's really delicious. So if you go there, check that out.
Cool. We're going to go there because we like to try different things. Yay.
Delightful.
Okay, cool. Do you like Cafe Desta?
I haven't been.
You got
What is
it.
cafe? Okay.
It's Ethiopian.
Ooh.
It's like in that weird, it's like on one of the, I don't know if it's 6th Avenue or Street, but it's one of the places where they have like an insane intersection.
Oh, yeah, like fucking 5 different ways to go.
And it's like in a triangle. But try that. I love it. The green beans, the fasolia, my favorite thing.
Okay.
I'm also not vegetarian, but I love those freaking green beans.
And some vegetarian restaurants have wonderful food. I mean, I'm a lesbian, so like I have dated vegetarians. It comes with the territory. And like I, fortunately too, going back to cooking with my mom, because of my dad's heart issues, she actually tried some different dietary things to help his cholesterol. And there was a phase when I was a teenager where we went vegetarian. So like by the time I was dating women, I was like, actually, I can cook vegetarian. Like we can make this work.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What's something you wish was discussed more in the magical community?
I'm going to take this back to cis men. Disclaimer, raging feminist, lesbian, genderqueer, cis men can be so fucking problematic. Please don't choke and die. Okay. But yeah.
Inhale my water.
Your expressions though in that were so funny. but yeah. So yeah, disclaimer. Men do suck. That being said, there are some really lovely exceptions to the rule who are either baby witches who want to be welcomed into our spaces or are very experienced witches. I have an ex who he was the first person to introduce me to paganism. He is so connected. We did so much ritual work together. He taught me so much. And he was a vendor at places. He would make magical tools and things and vend, but he had to stop doing it because the last place he went was a convention up in Phoenix. And he and his partner, who is AFAB, would be there, and women would come up and try to speak to his partner about like the Morrigan. And she would say, actually, he's a priest of the Morrigan and a dedicant and like knows all the things. And women would literally be like, ugh, and scoff and walk away. And it's like, that's not how this works. Like, I get it. Sometimes we want to learn from women. Sometimes we want to learn from non-binary people, from trans people. We want to learn from people who are in the minority like us, and specifically their practice. But there are cis men who also have been on this path a long time, or who, like my ex specifically, was autistic and actually had some gender queerness and bi and these different things, and they don't know that. They just see this big, tall, dark-haired man and they don't want to talk to him. And so I think a big issue, coming back to it, in the witch community is inclusivity. There are circles that are specifically just women. And I want to say too, that's super valid. Like, have those circles too. Like back in Atlanta, I actually, the easiest way to keep that space safe and fully open for the women in it. So many of them had male partners. And so I made it women only because specifically they would share things about their partners there that they needed to be able to share that they wouldn't have. So that is a space I made gendered, not at the exclusion of men, but at the exclusion of their partners, to be honest. And there's a time and a place for a space that is either like you can't have your partner there, or women and non-binary people, or trans specifically, or like whatever it may be. It is important sometimes to have those spaces that are specifically for certain identities, or you're doing a kind of work that is, even if it's not like AFAB, you're looking for people with strong feminine energy. That's okay, but don't do that at the exclusion of there being spaces that men can come into as well, and that they can also have community and share and have that perspective. Like, every practitioner has a different experience and perspective. Don't shut that out, and don't stop yourself from learning from them in a way that might actually edify your practice simply because of the body they were born into, any more than you want to be shut out of patriarchal bullshit because you were born into a female body. So I think that's been on my heart a lot lately because I've been leading rituals. And it's just so beautiful to have trans people and men and women and non-binary people, and everyone is represented in these groups. And then, go from there into like white, black, brown, like whoever wants to come. It should be open. And if somebody does fuck shit and messes that up, we talk to them about it. And maybe they do get shut out. Maybe they aren't allowed to come back. There are ways to handle these things. Or maybe it's a teaching moment. But regardless, you can have spaces where you say, as long as you are well-intentioned to everyone in this room, you can be here too. And you can be in community too. And you can learn how to support other people because you're welcomed into a room with other people, instead of just being told you're a shitty, shitty man and just go do shitty man things.
I'm probably guilty of saying that sometimes.
I think we
Not probably.
all are. I reference my group in Atlanta, and at the time, some of it was also just, I don't want men here. So it was a blend, and it's something that came up in the group too, where one of my friends challenged me on it. But at the end of the day, I knew specifically someone in the group. She was challenging me for a specific human who's non-binary and a partner to someone in the group. And I knew that this person, the person who was in the group, had a hard time sharing her voice in the first place. And I knew she would filter herself if that other person came in, and there wasn't a good way for me to be like, no, just that person can't be here. So I used gender at the time. But looking back on that, like, I would never want to go about it that way again. I would want to specifically have a more nuanced conversation of, this is a space that has been developed for these particular humans, and that's okay. And then too, we ended up having like a couple rituals where anyone could come, and diversifying that space. And this person did come, and that was really cool. So it's just like, remember that you can also do more than one thing. Every space doesn't have to be either for everyone or not for a lot of people.
I had a lot of feelings when you said all of that stuff.
Yeah, what are some of your feelings?
I probably would not feel comfortable if I see something that is women only Well, it probably depends on what it is, because sometimes that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I don't feel like I belong in that space, so I wouldn't go to it. And I was like, well, yeah, but that cuts me out. And well, maybe it's supposed to. And that's fine.
How do you identify?
Yeah, I don't know.
Valid.
All the time is different.
Valid. I only recently added they, them into like my identifiers. I'd been calling myself a gender queer person for a while because I knew like just woman isn't covering what's happening here. And more, every queer person I met assumed they, them for me. And I was like, you're not wrong. And the more that I've had experiences too with like past lives, which has been a really heavy thing in the last couple of months for me. And I've experienced like myself in a male body in one of them, and another is a female, and these different things. The more I'm just like, I understand my soul as being outside the binary, like outside gender, bigger than gender. But yeah, and at a certain point, I was just like, yeah, I don't relate to being like a cis woman. I don't really use non-binary. I think it's more like this societal specific, like the slot that I put it in doesn't feel right for me. But androgynous, I vibe with heavy. And yeah, and just gender queer woman is mostly how I say it, because I do feel comfortable regarding myself as a woman, but it's also just more than that. And so that's the term I come back to as kind of a catch-all, because some days I go really femme, some days I go really masc. I used to swing back and forth and get really disheartened every time I felt the need to change again. And I'm finally starting to build an aesthetic that has room for all of my expressions. Like I'm intentionally building this time so that I can be femme or masc or super middle androgynous, and I don't feel like I have to change who I am to accomplish that, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to fill the audience in a tiny bit. We don't actually know each other. I was introduced to Laura through Discord, the Celestia Collective Discord. And then I checked out your Instagram, and you just felt like, oh, this is someone that is a safe person for me to be around. Partly because of the way you look. So the way you present yourself, it's working.
Thank you so much. That, yeah, that kind of goes back to, yeah, when I started this new journey of starting to lead ritual again, I was like, oh, I'm really masc right now. I'm more approachable as a ritual leader right now than when I'm super femme. Because it makes it just, I don't know. There's something about my identity now that I do feel like I get to be safe space. And that's just more important to me than anything else. So it means so much to me every time someone is like, oh, I looked at your profile and I could immediately tell you were safe. I'm like, great, it's doing the right. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Yay. Think about the first spell you ever consciously attempted and contrast it with the most recent one you've done.
I love that you specified that, since we talked about how I was clearly doing magic before even getting out of Christianity. Fuck. What would be...
And was it a love spell?
It was not, thank gods. At least I can say that. I'm so generally against, like, at least the core idea of love spells.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like, I have enough, what's the word? Not complexities. Oh man, it's right there. Complexes. Yeah, almost. I have enough complexes around. So my hair's short right now. When it's long and I'm more femme, too many people are attracted to me. And I say that in all sincerity. It's not that I'm particularly hot in any specific way. It is that I happen to fall into a lot of people's types. And I have had a hard time feeling at times in my life like someone was really interested in me as opposed to interested in being seen with me. Especially
Ew.
when I was younger, because I was like, so when I was like 20, I was like 110 pounds, tall, skinny, like 5'8", model-ish, long hair. And
You like somebody's fancy purse? I don't like
literally, I remember going on this date where I was on this guy's arm and he was like, I like walking around with you. And he didn't mean it in a gross way, but it was like, I'm not your accessory. And so all of that to say, shit, I lost the thread. Ask me the question again, please.
What did I ask? It was something not related to this.
Not at all. I went off on such a tangent. I knew this was going to happen today. Fuck.
Well, this is the way I talk, so.
Spells. Okay, first spell. I got on a tangent about love potions. So that being said, if anything, I would want to have like a fucking love spell that is specifically, do they really see me? Not trying to pull anybody in. Because I have like, I can be pretty charismatic. I can be attractive to many types of people. Right now I fall real hard into a lot of queer people's niche. But yeah, but if anything, I get insecure that I've like drawn them in with my witchcraft, with my charisma, with my ability to understand and my empathic shit. And I will always have a moment when dating someone new that is, do you really see me? Or am I benefiting you in some way? So that being said, I have not done any love spells. I really don't. Okay, I don't have a good answer for that. Can I instead tell you the first, like, deal with a deity?
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is a really fun story. So I had, by this point in my paganism journey, I had worked with some different deities. I knew Astarte had been around for me for decades. I was maybe 23 or 24, I want to say. I think 24. And I was scouting in locations and film. And I was having a really hard day. I was having a really hard time with my mental health, with my confidence, how I felt about myself. And Loki had showed up in my life recently. Fun fact, first time I interacted with Loki, I dropped 3 candles in a Walmart. I am not a clumsy person. And I was like, oh, I think I know who's here. The god of chaos. Anywho, so I had done a little bit of work with Loki. And there was this day that I was driving south of Atlanta. I was going like 2 hours south of the city to photograph a specific covered bridge that we might need in a show I was on. And I essentially struck a deal with Loki while masturbating in my car. Um, Here's this sexual energy. Please help me, and I will owe you, essentially. And I felt way fucking better. My whole day went better. And it was a minute before they called it in. But a couple months later, it was the last day of this show. I just needed to get up, drop some gear off at the production office, and then I was done. I woke up, I looked at Facebook back when I still had it, and not 10 minutes before, a friend of mine had posted that their disabled trans friend needed help moving today, and it had to be today. They had to get out of this space. They really needed some help. And immediately my spirit knew, this is Loki calling in the favor. That's what I'm doing today. Because like, if you haven't worked with Loki, major queer supportive deity. So I got the information. I went over there. I did at least 50% of the move myself. And being someone who had like packed trucks and locations and knew how to stack things safely, we were moving this person from their apartment to a single bedroom in their friend's house. And we had to stack all of the bins and boxes around them. And when I got to the second location and they were getting stacked, I immediately was like, oh, no, you're doing it wrong. That shit could fall over on them, because they had like a mattress in the middle of the floor. So I like restacked everything and like made it safe. And it was such a beautiful experience for me of getting to very actively move in my spirituality and experiencing with Loki this gift of, hey, one of my queer homies needs help. You're going to do that in exchange for what I did for you before. So yeah, that's one of my favorite, like, that was the first time I'd experienced a specific deal with a deity and it being called through in that way.
That's much less terrifying than I expected.
Loki gets a bad rep.
It's like, oh, what exploded? Tell me what exploded.
Listen, my experience with Loki, so god of chaos, right? Everyone's like, oh no, what else is going to explode? You drop candles. What happened next? It's more, and I haven't worked with them directly in a while, but my experience was more so being taught how to embrace and learn to flow with chaos. Because like, our world and our life is chaos. And my experience with them was, this is how you flow with it. Not, I'm making your life chaotic. Your life is already fucking chaotic. Like, ride the wave.
That's a healthier way to look at it.
And, you know, everyone has different interactions. So there's that. But that's my personal gnosis with Loki. Most recent, I think my answer for this is more, I guess, you know, we could talk about what is a spell. Because to me, sometimes it's like XYZ. I'm doing these things. I'm calling your name. I'm asking for something specific or help with or whatever. And other times, you know, I have experience was where I will drop into ritual with someone and we will flow intuitively and all these things. And right now, what I am learning the most and leaning into the most is choosing the moments when I do ritual. Like, if you mean the literal, like a ritual is movement, it's actions, it's these things. And also reminding myself daily that I am the magic and that however I show up and on whatever level, I am inherently magical. I am connected to my deities, not because of what I give them, but because we are aligned. And even when my depression is really overwhelming, like sometimes it is right now, that doesn't mean my body isn't still doing spell work. So for me, like right now, like, yes, I am also leading community ritual where we're doing work against ICE, and we're doing work to edify the members of the community and each individual human. But a lot of my spell work right now is just constantly re-engaging with what that means and what that looks like on each day.
This is such a good conversation. Having such a good time.
I'm so glad. I'm having such a good time too. I was initially nervous. I was like, what if I just blank and forget everything I've ever known about witchcraft? And then I was like, no, it's so integrated into my life now. Like I'm not compartmentalizing it like I used to. So of course I'm going to be able to speak on it. Like it's just life. It's like talking about what I had for lunch yesterday.
I can't do that. I have no idea what I ate yesterday.
I had depression lunch yesterday. I made a smoothie and then I melted cheese on chips.
I was gonna say, is it a slice of cheese that you ate standing in the fridge?
You know, sometimes it's that. I think
Yep, just
lately
cheese slices.
Lately too has been like my first experiences with having a consistently hard time eating. Like I said, I kind of escaped the eating disorders of the 20 aughts, but lately, because I've so allowed my depression to actually be seen, I'm understanding on a much deeper level now, like what my friends with those things have dealt with, how hard it can be just to make yourself eat when you just don't want to be here. Yeah. Like if the depression is so bad one day, it's like, I actually don't really want to be here. So why would I nourish myself? And I have to continuously go back and rely on the discipline that I built in my compartmentalization and find a way to like consciously compartmentalize so that I do at least eat something so I don't feel even shittier.
Well, we are going to segue. Speaking of friends, what two people have had the biggest influence on your practice?
I would have to say the ex I already mentioned. I'm not going to name him because we aren't in communication right now. That ended really in a really difficult way a little over a year ago. But he is the person who introduced me to paganism, taught me how to research authentically, was there different times I had questions. We did intuitive ritual together. We worked through different things. There are also things from him that I specifically don't agree with or believe in anymore. But when we talk about just who's had the biggest individual impact, he's definitely a huge one for me. And then I think I have to say my mom. Because of the amount, like when we just say impact on my practice, it isn't necessarily taught me or whatever. Like my mom deeply fucking impacted every part of my life. We were codependent. I was the one who had the emotional intelligence and strength to step up and be there for her when my dad wasn't, when other people weren't. And we were very codependent with each other. And her Christianity engulfed her whole life. That was her safety. That was where she had learned as a teenager when her mom was really hard on her to lean into Jesus. And so even though I have so much trauma from the way I was raised, my mom also taught me, one, what integrating your spirituality into every facet of your life looks like. And two, I don't know if I would have found my spiritual practice today to the extent that I have, in the fullness that I have, if I hadn't been pushing so fucking hard against Christianity and against everything I was raised with. And, again, I did learn to channel energy at a fucking church. And so as much as like I am so deeply saddened by a lot of the things I was raised with, at the end of the day, I would have to still say that my mom deeply impacted my practice. And while I'm speaking on it, she actually showed up to me recently. Again, she passed when I was about to turn 19. She recently showed up to me and apologized for a lot. And that has also allowed me to integrate now in ways that it was really, really hard to before. Because while I don't need her approval and I don't need her to be okay with where I am now, it does still fucking help. And there are parts of my body that I think really responded to having that closure because my life was so entangled with hers for the first 2 decades of my life. And I actually wear her high school ring, graduation ring, that I started wearing when I went heavy into mask presentation last year. And it helped me find a part of her that was actually helping my identity now instead of being against it, because we never got to like, we certainly fought, but we never got to do the transition from being a teenager to being an adult. We didn't get to fully separate out all of that and to talk about all of that in a way that wasn't her trying to be a really good Christian mom. And so finding little pieces of her that actually help settle me in my identity now has been really healing. Oh shit, I gotta plug. Okay, plugged the laptop in. But it's been really healing. And so like I still have to say, like, she has impacted everything about me on every level. And that includes my spirituality and where I am now, regardless of how deeply I disagree with the Christianity she taught me.
That sounds really good.
It's been so healing.
Now that you've seen what it's like to talk to me, who do you think I should have? Who would be entertaining for you to listen to me and them talk?
Do you know Chris at Celestia, the Love Brujita?
Mm-mm. I
fucking love them. They did a reading for me the other day, a crystal ball reading for me.
Ooh.
Which was so helpful. That's a specific thing that I will not get into right now because it's a whole other ramble. But Chris is fantastic, and they're just a quirky, lovable human who is also like the fire of a Scorpio. And I would love to hear in this context more about their path and the way they practice, because it's so a part of everything they do, and they work with Aphrodite, but also they have this like like little dark side. And I'd love to have them on here.
Cool. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up? Anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to talk about? Any questions for me? Anything going on that you just want to say, hey, check this out?
As far as checking things out, if you're in the Tucson area, I am, I say leading, I like the term facilitating better. But I'm facilitating rituals at Celestia Collective, we're going seasonally. Our next one will be the spring equinox. I'm really excited for Beltane, because for Beltane, I really want to do something that's very sexuality affirming, whether you're trans, you've been through abuse, you've been through any other number of things that's kind of disconnected you from it. So if you're in the Tucson area, you can either follow me on the Instagram. You can find Celestia Collective. I believe the handle is celestia.collective. But check those out. And then if you're into poetry, follow me on Instagram, and I will also be promoting shows and open mics and slams that I'm doing.
Cool. So ask 2 things at the end. More than 2 things, realistically. But I'd like to just, I'm going to just say 2 because, whatever. Number 1 is recommend something to listeners. Doesn't have to be witchy at all. What cool thing are you into this week that you call your best friend or text and just say, dude, you got to check this thing out. Look at it.
Oh, you know what? At Christmas, my dad likes to just send everybody an Amazon gift card, which I try not to use Amazon anymore, but if you're sending me a card, I'll use it. And I finally got like a magic bullet, and I got stuff to make smoothies. And then it took me 2 months to get my depressed ass to actually make a smoothie. But I tried it yesterday, and I used Trader Joe's has these frozen acai puree packages, and they're perfect. Like, they're individual packages. So you just thaw it a little bit and put it in there and put your berries. And I put protein milk and peanut butter and mixed berries and juice in there. And it's delicious. So if you want acai in your smoothies, you don't have to go to a fancy smoothie shop. You can just buy it at Trader Joe's. So that would be my recommendation.
We got a ninja, and my husband makes every week, every work day. He's the night before. He does it the night before, so it sits in the fridge, which whatever. But he's constantly got some thick drink that he brings to work with him.
Not the thick drink.
Liquid, so I couldn't do it, but I appreciate the idea. And the second thing is, please tell me a story. It also doesn't have to be witchy, but I would like it to be funny. Or it could just be a story that you love from childhood.
From childhood?
Yeah, like if you want to tell me the story of Bartholomew and the Oobleck, whatever.
Jesus Christ. So just any story I want to tell from anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorites are the dumb things that happen, like that you would tell at a family reunion. Remember that dumb thing? And then everybody tells the story with you. Those are my favorites, but I'm up for whatever.
Do you want my favorite film industry story to tell?
Yes.
Okay. So a few years ago, the last, no, not quite the last, but one of the last shows I did when I was in locations, I was working on Respect, the movie about Aretha Franklin. And at about 3 a.m. in downtown Atlanta, I'm an assistant location manager. So I'm in charge of like the cops we have watching our trucks parked in the street and everything in the building and everything that's allowed to happen in the building, and keeping the producers and directors from doing fuck shit to really old elevators and things like that. And so at 3 a.m., it's me. I have like, I think 2 location assistants on set. And we're filming this scene where Jennifer Hudson playing Aretha and the gentleman playing her husband are supposed to be super drunk coming out of this elevator, and he hits her. And for elevators, when you have them in a scene in a film, someone has to be inside tucked in the corner manually operating that, because trying to actually time it going up and down is a nightmare. And without fail, when we hire an elevator operator to operate in these scenes, it's an overweight middle-aged guy who can't physically hide in the corner of an elevator, which means that I end up doing it. And Jennifer Hudson is method acting this abuse scene. So at 3 a.m., I am in an elevator operating it as they do these takes. She's starting the scene leaning on my shoulder to get herself into character, to the extent that like I checked on her once or twice. I was like, hey, are you still okay? She's like, yeah. But I could feel it coming from her. And somewhere between takes, I realized that my key ALM had not scheduled police for the shift change at 7 a.m. If we don't have cops there, we're in violation of permit, which gets very bad. So I am actively between these very intense, kind of triggering takes, trying to get in touch with the police coordinator who is asleep to get cops to the scene. I pulled it off. Everything was fine. But that is my quintessential hell moment from the film industry, is operating this elevator while being triggered while trying to talk to cops.
I want none of that.
There are many reasons I'm not doing this job anymore. And that story just sums them all up.
No,
wow.
you.
Wow, the directors are telling Scenic to paint these antique elevators so the camera doesn't catch in their reflection. We had to pay like thousands of dollars to get them refinished.
Oh.
It was such a fun night.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. The last thing you said just... Holy shit.
Well, yeah, that's one of my favorite stories to tell.
I don't know how you work exactly, but will you try and craft a spell with me and we can see if this works?
Sure. What spell do you want to do?
The last spell I actively worked on was a weird chaos magic spell with a banana. It was against the current administration.
Hell yeah, it was.
So, I mean, we could continue to work on that sort of situation.
I mean, I'm down for anything against the current administration.
So you want to burn stuff, or you want to make a jar, or I don't know what else there is. We could do the weird banana thing, I guess. That's part of it.
The lesbian and me can't quite quantify the weird banana thing. Let's go with burning.
Okay. Okay. To hear more of the members-only episode, head over to crepuscularconjuration.com. The monthly magic tier gets access to the Marco Polo group and the written monthly spells. You also get bonus podcast episodes, coloring pages, guided meditations, spellcrafting videos, printable downloads, and a lot more. There's even free stuff. The Witchy Wonderment tier will give you free samples of everything I just mentioned. You can also visit my shop, Clever Kim's Curios, to get spell boxes, one at a time or by monthly subscription, intentional handcrafted jewelry that I make especially for witches, and handmade altar tools. You can even listen to the full Your Average Witch podcast library, including show notes and transcripts. Check it out at crepuscularconjuration.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Your Average Witch. You can find us all around the internet, on Instagram at Your Average Witch Podcast, at www.youraveragewitch.com, and on your favorite podcast feeder. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to youraveragewitchpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.